All right, welcome everybody to Chasing Man. As you know, I'm Liam, and man, I say this every single time, but I am so lucky and so grateful in my life to have met some amazing human beings along the way, and today is no different a day. Today we have the fabulous Jordan Young with us. How are you, brother?
Hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, kia ora, kia ora. Everything's cool, man. How are you?
Not too bad. How's the old COVID scene in the UK and England?
Yeah, I think it's it's difficult because I've kind of stopped following the mainstream news to a certain extent. So
Good
I
on
can't
you.
say I'm like firm on the numbers, and I mean I have a couple of clients that work in the NHS, so I have heard directly from people that are working at the moment about what it's like in the hospitals at the moment. And yeah, man, it sounds like it's obviously pretty hectic, but yeah, man, we're just trying to like ride it out on the lockdown. So I'm just like really enjoying being at home and just having a chance to like work a bit of that in, and like keep working on my fitness, my movement, and just keep trying to find other ways to be creative, like looking for new and different outlets, but like yourself, bro, just continuing to find ways to like reach out and touch people and yeah, spread the good vibes. So yeah, it's been all right, man. Like obviously heart goes out to everybody that's knows someone that's fallen foul of this virus, and you can go any way you want with regard to the tangent. If you're on the conspiracy vibes, if you're on the hard numbers vibes, if you're on the common sense vibes, if you're herd immunity, if you're vaccines, if you're social distancing, if you're peer pressure, whatever. We've just chosen to like kind of self-isolate from the bullshit as well as from the virus associated with it, and that's been quite blissful. that ignorance.
Bro, but
Yeah.
it's such a great way to attack it because I I understand the challenges that people are going through at the moment, but there just seems to be so many people that are soaking up that bullshit, right? And unfortunately, when you soak up bullshit, you become bullshit. Your life becomes bullshit. Everything around you becomes bullshit. And then you almost lose your own identity, right? Which I love about you. Your identity is strong. On IG, guys, if you haven't followed this man, you gotta follow him. Humor, style, hip-hop culture. This guy is all about some really cool stuff that makes Jordan Young, Jordan Young. Hey, bro, tell us a little bit about yourself, like from growing up days to where you are now, because you've got an awesome journey, my bro.
Yeah. Oh man, fuck! How could I summarize this nice and quick? So I was born in Wellington, and then grew up in Wellies in the Tawa, sort of Linden area when I was a youngster. And then, like a lot of kids back in NZ, my parents split up when I was little. So I just grew up mainly with my old man, and we moved around the country a lot. So I lived in Gisborne for a little while, lived in Whangarei, a little bit of time in New Plymouth, and then we sort of doubled back to Wellington, where I got back into like schooling for a long period. So I went to Tawa College, which is obviously where I came to know you and know your brother Ryan, and that's how we sort of like mixed with similar crews back then and stuff.
Yeah, man.
And then after college, I went to university and studied Te Reo Maori. And then, so, tēnā koutou e te whānau mātakitaki mai ana. Ko tēnei te reo tūturu, te reo Māori. So that was my gateway into like sort of tertiary education, growing up sort of stuff, learning the language, doing my degree. And then when I finished my degree, I was teaching te reo Māori at the same time while I was finishing off my studies. So I had a bit of contact early with, just teaching people how to speak Māori, teaching like adults and people older than me, much wiser than me. So I left New Zealand like 2007 and then came here to London, where I still am currently. And then
wow, was it 2007?
Bro, that long ago, man, like 13 years ago, I left New Zealand. Yeah, man, whoa, right? So yeah, it's crazy to think that, yeah, July 2007, I came over here to the UK with a British passport and a Kiwi passport and a little bit of money, not much. I'd sold my car at the time, and sold all my possessions, and then just decided to come over here on a whim to like do some traveling and do the whole OE thing. And so when I landed, I did the classic, Heathrow stuff. Well, I think I remember hanging out with you actually when I got to London, wasn't it? Were you down in Boston Manor or something like
Yeah,
that?
we were in Boston, man, bro. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can remember, I was with like people like Eddie who'd come over just before me, and I can't remember who else from like the Kiwi contingent that we were both rocking with at the same time in London. But yeah, initial days in London were like party vibes. And then I got friendly with like the New Zealand Maori community, obviously through my language expertise and being a teacher and stuff. So I kind of landed in London with a bit of a whānau, or a bit of a community to latch onto with people like you, and then the London Maori community, Ngāti Rānana. And so once I connected with the London Maori community, that enabled me to get a job as a performing artist. So I did a little bit of travel with a performing arts company, just doing the haka. And this was 2007, back when the Rugby World Cup was in France.
Nice.
So we got to travel down to Marseille and spend a week in Marseille, like performing around Marseille, going to the game, like performing at the game and stuff. And then going to like the Black Seeds, we're doing a concert after. So we we're like the warm-up act for the Black Seeds, just doing some like Kapa Haka stuff, like all the traditional stuff. And then my job was like the orator, being the speaker. So invariably in this community, that I was kind of like the orator for the group. So that just enabled me to like get a bit of a footing in London, having this London Maori community, which gave me some outlets to travel with the group, doing performances. So we got to see all over Europe, went to like Amsterdam with the group. And then I had my first experience of Amsterdam, like with the Maori Kapa Haka Group. So it was, like quite an experience, man.
Missy?
Yeah, just like being like sort of young, like early 20s, like just left New Zealand. I'm out doing Kapa Haka, making some money, making some connections, seeing some places for free. So while I was doing all these sort of like gigs around the UK and Europe around 2007, I was sort of living with a property protection program at the time. So this enabled me to get free rent in London. So some Maori boys I was performing with, they were already on the books with this property protection company. And basically, if you get free rent in London, you didn't have to pay any rent. You just had to like make sure that you were on premise, on site, guarding the place, whenever they sort of needed you there, most likely just overnight and stuff. So we were living rent free in London for a year and a bit.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's a big benefit.
Bro, it was crazy how we lived in like an old office building. There was an old pub. Like an old hostel, an old mental hospital as well. Like any building that became derelict or dysfunctional or unsafe for general use would be shut down, and then they'd have to find like a buyer or someone to regenerate it or whatever, and that could always take time. So in the meantime, to prevent squatters from coming in, they would get people like me to say, okay, Jordan, I need you to come down to Russell Square. There's a flat that's come up, we need you to come and stay there. And they wouldn't give you a time. It could be like 2 days, it could be like 2 years, some of the places.
Yep.
So that was really lucky, man. But while I was living with these property protection companies, I met a couple of Maori boys who were working with Kontiki, the tour company going around Europe. And man, when I met those fellas, they were like a bit older than me. They were from back home in New Zealand. They were Maori boys. They were just killing it on the Kontiki tours, man. They were taking these groups of like 50 people around Europe, getting paid good money, fat tips, and just taking people on like crazy adventures. So I was like mad inspired by this. And seeing as I was like free as a bird, I thought, fuck it, man. So I applied and I went for one of these jobs at a different company, a company called Top Deck.
Yep.
Because I heard they were a little bit more lax, whereas my boys were like, bro, Kontiki is like hardcore. So I went and I got a job with Top Deck anyway. It took about 2 months to do like the study and the training trip to get the qualifications. Like on the training trip, it's quite buzzy because they take away about 20 or 30 of you, 10, 15 aspiring drivers, 10, 15 aspiring tour leaders, and then maybe like 10, 15 aspiring cooks.
Yep.
And it's a little bit like a reality show, man. It's like Survivor or something like that, because they're looking to push your boundaries, your patience, your your mental dexterity, your fitness, all sorts of things on this trip to try to break you, to see what you'd be like under the biggest stresses when you've got a large group of people on tour. So the group starts at about 30, and then about halfway through, they've sort of like cut maybe 4 or 5 people. So you're down to like 23, 24. And then with about another 2 weeks to go, you've got like another like grade to get to in terms of like understanding and stuff.
So a bit like Survivor Island, right? Like the weeks to blink goodbye.
Looking back, I think it would be like quality viewing, like quality programming to like.
It's amazing they haven't done it.
It's amazing, man, because I did my degree, like I did my studies and shit like that, but nothing I've ever done has been ever like that. Like basically you got to learn about these cities, and then you get to the city, and then they give you the microphone and they say, all right, Jordan, stand up and tell us what's going on outside. You're in the middle of Paris, and you've got to be able to like link together, all of the different buildings, what dates they were kind of built, who built them, what are they built for, what's inside them. And once you're doing that around a city like Paris that has, like over 100 sites of, like worthwhile mentioning with some information, it just becomes like a bit of a, you can get a little bit fucking nervous and sort of stirred up. But because I'd been to Paris so many times with the, traveling before with the tour groups, and my ex-wife, she lived there. So with all that, like I knew Paris really well, so I smashed it. And then you do another 5 weeks traveling around Europe. Every city you go to, you've got to be like, blam, like here's fucking Monaco. What's that? What's that? What's that? Here's Italy, here's Pisa, what's that? Florence, same thing, Rome. And in Italy, it's a little bit more lax because they generally tend to get local tour guides for places like Florence, which are smaller, but Rome is so hectic. I used to take my passengers from Piazza della Popolo all the way to, all the way to the Colosseum, basically by foot, which took about 3.5, 4 hours sometimes.
Wow.
It was like epic, man. So what I learned and what I came to understand about history, Europe, all the relationships and shit like that was so wicked. And so that's a part of my life I'm really, really fortunate that I can look back on, is being able to be or say I was a tour guide for a couple of years around Europe, because I was just getting paid to travel, man, to party, to show people a good time, to share some knowledge, to like basically just kind of be a jack of all trades. But behind the scenes, there was a lot of like good work, like I had to be punctual, had to be, informative, not too fucking patronizing with info, all that sort of stuff, man.
Yeah, bro.
So I learned
two questions with that. How did you find balance doing that, bro? Or was there no balance whatsoever?
Nah, no balance, man. Like, I mean, I was basically drinking a lot because I was out every night, like partying with guests, showing them like a good time. Well, in my first year, especially, man, like I was sort of caning it. I never got too pissed where I had to get, be carried home. But, I was a bit of a scallywag from time to time, man. I was a little bit rambunctious. So yeah, there wasn't much balance, man, because that kind of lifestyle is very full on. You party hard, you get up early, you drive to the next destination, you make the most of it. Like these people are only there maybe once in a lifetime. In Europe, traveling, these
So young man's gig, you reckon, huh?
Yeah, definitely. You got to have like, good stamina, good energy, like, ability to thwart a hangover helps.
So how did you go from no balance, party, rambunctious living to finding all the health and wellness and fitness in your life, dude?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one because it was too much travel, too much sat in a coach. So yeah, I decided to settle things better to yeah, look at getting to PT, which was, yeah, that was about about 7, 8 now.
We're losing you again, brother.
Can you hear me again, bro?
Yeah, you're back now.
Oh, sorry, Kazi. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I've always into fitness. You know, like going back to Tawa college days, playing basketball, playing golf, playing tennis, and getting into the gym, do a city fitness. Like hitting up PCF back in the day, and then getting into like the bench and heavy weights and starting to like stack up muscle and stuff. So I was always into the gym. When I was doing the tour guide stuff, I just had the stretchy band stuff. So I was just stretchy band workouts, 10 years ago when I was tour guiding.
Yeah.
So when I decided to PT 8 years ago, still quite a like really lovely industry in the UK. It was still your kind of go-to medium for quality fitness, info, coaching, all the rest of it. CrossFit was just sort of like just starting. I think it was like the year I started PTing, I think was the second CrossFit Games or whatever. So yeah, I did my PT course, man, and then I was looking around for all these different places to ply my trade, and yeah, I ended up fitness first, which is like a lot of different areas, like a lot of space to move around. And so I felt like I could offer a lot of variety to my clients with regard to like training. If they wanted to do anything, then we could do whatever basically. So yeah. So and then again, bro, like on the theme of like balance and stuff like that, now my life has changed because I'm now going into a self-employed PT role. Before I was getting paid by the tour company, making tips, making cash on the side from commissions and all the rest of it. So I was kind of a little bit of a free spirit with the finances back in the day. But that's how it kind of worked, man. Like I balanced the tour life against travel back to New Zealand and, trips to Thailand and stuff. So that's kind of, I'd work hard for like 6 months and then just chill and holiday for 6 months.
Nice.
And that was kind of the vibe while I was a tour guide. But then, yeah, I met my ex-wife along the way, and then tour guiding became like less feasible for our relationship. So I decided to lock into the PT. And then, yeah, once I started getting going on the PT, man, the beginning was tough. I think I'm sure you'll know, bro, like getting anything going from scratch is tricky in the beginning. There's a lot of challenges and there's a lot of, like things out there to kind of throw you off balance when you're just trying to go forward with it, really. So yeah, I met heaps of these challenges initially when I started. The idea of getting money for watching someone exercise was almost laughable to me for the
Bro, we had a bit of difficulties there. I think the last thing I heard was, just basically starting up a business from scratch and all the adversity that comes with it.
Yesterday, competition I was going to experience early doors. So just that same gym floor, same access to clients, and then having another 15 or so PTs that are also looking for business, and then new fresh PTs that are hungry. I found initially I was like, wow, fucking hell, man, like I've really got to talk to everybody and really try and put my magic on here. And then just being able to deal with like the rejection of talking to someone, having no success, and then seeing someone else talk to them, and then all of a sudden they're training together now. You start kind of like second guessing yourself, like, fuck, hang on a sec, that I know him, he doesn't even speak English.
And how did you get over that? Like what did you do to be able to deal with those situations?
I think at the end of the day, like you've got to accept that you can't please everybody in this lifetime, man. I think most of our grandparents probably would have told us that at a young age. It just didn't seem so sage at the time. But yeah, man, like when I was a tour guide, I used to like put my heart and soul into these tours, and I used to try to like ring off these stories that people hadn't even heard about. I used to try and like pride myself on having really, solid historical and relative information that people could use when they're traveling to these places. So I used to kind of get my hopes up when people would fill in the evaluation form at the end of it and then critique me. And no matter how much I thought of or how highly I thought of myself, when I reflected, I was like, yeah, man, okay, every city I nailed, every check-in we nailed. We were never late for nothing. We were, nobody lost anything. Nobody got mugged. There were no incidents. Like, man, this is going to be a wicked score. I'm going to get amazing feedback. And then I'd like open up the feedback and read after we've like finished the tour. And then there'd be 2 or 3 people complaining about some air conditioner in some random hotel we stayed in, or some random crap, man. And I just kind of came to realize that, no matter how much I thought of how good I thought I was doing, I had to accept that, man, not everyone's going to necessarily see it that way. And I guess the more, the smaller you can make that amount of people, that's all you can really hope for, really, at the end of the day, man.
Right, and that's a great skill to have, right? Like, I guess sort of eliminating the ego, maybe.
Yeah, you've definitely got to let it go, man, and you've got to kind of think a little bit outside your own ego in that one, and just kind of accept that, okay, maybe that person didn't like me as much as I thought, or whatever, and just be like, okay, no problem, like, all the best, like, crack on. But getting hung up or holding on to that rejection, or seeing, like I said, that member training with that other trainer that is a douchebag or whatever, and you're just like, what's wrong with me? Like, you can't even like worry about it, man. Like, you got to know yourself enough to know that, okay, they're lost basically in that kind of a situation. Like, depending on your motives, obviously, if your agenda's only like money and business, then and you didn't even realize you came across that way, then it's no wonder someone's training with someone else. But I sometimes got a little bit hurt when I would just actually try and help someone genuinely because they're showing bad technique or dangerous technique. I'm not someone to interrupt someone unless I think it's kind of opportunistic, or if it's appropriate in my professional opinion. And so sometimes when I would approach so when I would approach people, I would approach from a place of kindness, a place of compassion and like just helpfulness, really. And then when that would get turned around, and then I see them doing some like exercise that's actually making matters worse than I'd seen before, that's when I kind of like scratch my head and I'm like, oh man, like, I was going to show that person how to improve everything they have, and now they're with someone digging themselves a bigger trench. This is, no. So
And
bro.
do you know what, bro? I think all that sort of stuff is just an experience thing once again, right? And maybe an age thing as well. Like when you're younger, that ego plays such a big part in your life that you just want to be the best at everything. You want to be the people that the person that people come to. You want to be knowledgeable and all that. And then just giving yourself permission just to be you and accept the way situations play out, and not create this big, I guess it links to sort of that coronavirus thing we were talking about, this big bullshit story that you create that it just doesn't serve you any purpose, right?
Yeah, totally, man. Like, holding on to that frustration, I think you'll find in most cases, sometimes it's harder to deal with depending on the intensity of the situation. It's all circumstantial, subjective, all that sort of stuff. But I've found that when I've held on to that frustration or that feeling, it definitely holds you back, man. Like, it might make me, in the past, what I learned is that I can't allow that feeling or that frustration or that roadblock to make me second guess myself moving forward. So whilst it might not have played out as I'd seen initially, really you just got to like take the lesson. What can you learn from the situation, and then just move forward with it. You have no choice whatsoever
Beautiful, brother. Beautiful.
other than to try to move forward as quickly as you can. And that's the process, isn't it? Like getting better at dealing with the crap that comes in, like becoming a better garbage disposal for your crap.
Dude, and I love that because you can't get away from the crap. The crap and the shit is, as soon as you open that front door, it's out there. So developing those tools just to get through them. And that's why I love your IG page, bro, is you are you. You are you. You are 100% like unique to you, and you do your thing. And I love it because it's just
thanks,
so
man.
free-spirited.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's one thing I've tried to do with the content stuff from as soon as I started that page 4 or 5, whatever years ago, was, man, just to do exactly that, man. Just, be totally honest with it. Yeah, like don't ham it up too much. Man, just be honest and be myself. And that's absolutely what I've done with it, bro. And that's why I quite like it as a bit of an outlet just to share some of my passions, whether it's sneakers or bloody fitness or like just banter. That's that's one of the outlets, man. So and that's where it's cool to kind of like be able to share on platforms like this as well, and just connect, man, and chew the fat, have a little bit of a chat. It's it's good, man.
Hey, so can I ask you a deeper question, brother?
Oh yeah, cool.
Ooh, here we go. Nah, I mean, and if you feel like you don't want to answer it, then you can just tell me to piss off as well. I'm cool with that. But do you think growing up with your old man gave you a different look on life compared to people that sort of had mum and dad both around, bro? Like, do you find sometimes in life, and I don't know if this question makes sense, but I'm going to try and word it correctly, like, were there times in your life where you felt like maybe you would have benefited more having mum around, or was there times when you were with dad that dad just gave you these amazing skills to deal with things potentially better, just being solid dad?
Yeah, I think in my case specifically, I'm pleased that it played out the way that it did. Just specifically for my case, because my mum, like when I was little, was a bit of a destructive force, as my dad would put it, man. She was a bit of a hurricane. So but that's obviously I mean, obviously most people have got a pretty fiery parent or relative or whatever. But I actually there were a couple of occasions in my life where mum and dad were together. We were living as a kind of traditional nuclear family. But seeing the aftermath of when my mum would leave and then just take everything of my dad's and then just systematically tear his life to pieces, sort of shred by shred, was both hilarious because it was just funny, because my dad was quite funny, man. I'd be like, Dad, how did she get the sofa? He's like, she got the sofa. I'm like, but how did she get the sofa, man? Like, how did she manage to sneak in? But she got the sofa somehow out the house or whatever. Or, my mum was just ruthless when it came to like rinsing my dad. But because he just had this infatuation, because she was a Maori, beauty queen from New Zealand, he couldn't resist. So, bro, like having that strong father figure growing up was definitely good from obviously like a masculinity standpoint, to be able to develop confidence early from like playing sports and, just developing some good habits at school and stuff. Like making friends and stuff like that. I didn't really feel like I necessarily missed out. But obviously my situation is like independent to me and not necessarily overly reflective of everybody. But
totally. And then that's what I love about it. That's why I asked you the question, right? Because I have so many like clients I deal with and stuff that, somebody classifies masculinity this way, and then somebody else sees that almost the total opposite, which is cool, right? Because Yeah, like I said, your uniqueness is your uniqueness. You're Jordan Young because of, you know, all the past events that have played out in your life that create the person that you are now. And
Yeah.
your mindset and your growth along the way has given you all these skills and these tools to, you know, prosper the way you have. Whereas if it was somebody else, it could completely break them. So, you know, that's why I love having these conversations to work out, you know, or to give people listening different strategies, different tools, different techniques that they may be able to sort of bring into their life along the way, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure, bro. No, definitely. I think one of the lessons I learned, like having a single parent, is and a good lesson to learn early is you know, like just accountability and responsibility and just ownership of what it is that you know, you're doing in relation to how you're feeling. So, you know, from a young age, not having like, and it's not like a big deal, man, but like just like not having mum around as much, you know, just meant that I had to kind of like look after my little sister a little bit more, as a big brother should anyway. But just kind of like, yeah, take a little bit of leadership there, try and help my old man out a little bit when I could. And then when I'd grown up, as soon as I could work, basically, my first paycheck was our first paycheck sort of thing. So I think just, yeah, having that, yeah, like my dad obviously had instilled that in me to, you know, more out of just commanding me to do shit. That's, he just handed me the responsibility and it was like, here's the responsibility, take out the rubbish, you know, here's the responsibility, walk the dog. So I was just like, yeah, okay, man, I'll just get on with it and accept my role and crack on with it. And then if anything kind of goes wrong and you're not in charge of a situation, just kind of like taking a bit of time to be like, all right, well, that's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm feeling. Let me just try and take a little bit of time objectively to think about why and try to do it with complete honesty. And if you can do that sort of shit with complete honesty, identify what's niggling you or giving you a little bit of grief, and then sort of like, you know, wash it away, you can then lift all these sorts of stresses off you with a lot more ease. And I think these are the sorts of stresses that, you know, tend to compound later on in life when you're just trying to scramble around for control everywhere. But as soon as you realize that you're wasting your time trying to control everything and everyone and everyone's feelings and thoughts, that's when you start to just become at peace with the chaos that is life, man. And you can just sort of crack on and enjoy it a bit more, I reckon.
It's interesting to hear all those things because obviously I've known you from a fairly young age. And I would say from that young age, man, you were streets ahead of your age, right? Like you'd grown up pretty quickly. You were always very articulate, and like I knew you as the guy that would sort of stand up as a leader from day one. And do you think that that upbringing has helped you develop into that leadership role that you have in your job? And you know, on your Instagram page, believe it or not, I see you as a leader. Like you really stand out as a born leader. And I guess my question is, do you think Dad helped sculpt that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the thing about having a Scottish father is that growing up, I was yeah, subjected to absolute relentless shit. Um, yeah, like just unrelenting barrages of yeah, of crap, and I guess that helped me yeah, just kind of like develop a little bit of wit and humor, dry Scottish wit, and so I think that kind of enabled me to, yeah, develop a bit of a sarcastic opinion on certain things. So I always felt like I could always diffuse a debate or a situation by just being unbelievably sarcastic or you know, almost to the point of being hypocritical. So I think just having my dad give me the you know, the early oratory skills of just being able to sass someone or give someone some creative crap, I think helped yeah, like forge my skills a little bit with the oratory. It's obviously slipped a lot over the last few years, but yeah, man, like, yeah, you're right, bro. I was into that hard back in the day, the fight corded, all the Maori stuff, and yeah, bro, like I like to be a bit of a leader, but I'm not kind of like really going out there and trying to get people to necessarily follow what I'm doing. I feel like I'm just kind of doing, like you said before, what I'm doing, what I've discovered to be, to give me what I need, in terms of, like fulfillment and, to satiate my appetite, as it were, so I can just sleep like a baby at night. And if people kind of like can gravitate towards any aspect of that, then man, cool, man, that's fucking sweet.
Yeah, I really like that. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, if people aren't really on that wave or that vibe or that tip, and then I'm similarly just like, yeah, man, all good, man, crack on and do you and be you, and yeah, everyone's cool.
Yeah, and that's what I really enjoy about following you again is like you do you. Like when I see you do your biking stuff, and I got my Peloton bike, and I was like, George, bro, you should become a Peloton instructor. You'd be amazing, which I firmly believe you would. You'd probably be right up there leading the charge.
Yeah, thanks.
But you're doing you, right? Like you know about that. If you wanted to go that route, I'm sure you would. And
yeah.
I just really respect that about you, bro.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, I got, to be fair, bro, I think it was like about a year ago, or close to a year ago, when Peloton first launched, and one of my clients, who's he's a good client for a while, he moved off to another part of the UK, have his family, and he messaged me out the blue and says, bro, I'm doing this thing that just launched, Peloton, you'd be absolutely great on it, like, here's the link, here's the website, get on it, man. And I kind of like looked at it and I was a bit like, oh, nah, man, like I'm cool, man. It's the same thing with Cycle, that, I don't know if you've heard of the brand Cycle, PS Cycle. It's like psychology with cycle in there. Anyway, it's like a London spin studio, and they've become massive as well. And they kind of tapped me up directly a few years ago, and I kind of, I missed the interview or something. I just, I couldn't be fucked in the end. So, I mean, I know these opportunities are out there, but I'm kind of like, I've been a little bit selective with them. If I feel like it's really worthwhile, then I'll go for it. If I don't feel like it's, if I feel like it's surplus, if it's extra work that I don't need, then yeah, I don't worry too much about it, man. Like life these days has become a lot more about balance, bro. Like I've nearly found a bit of balance. This quarantine has given me balance because I'm just at home all the time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Inside, outside, trying to, like, when the weather's good, divide it up and just get the sun, get in the garden, do a bit of work, make some money. You gotta get some bread. And then, yeah, man, just trying to take some time to, be creative, find some passions, get some shit going, learn some skills. At the moment I'm trying to like learn some dance moves, which is like frustrating because I feel like they should be easy when I watch them. And then I look at myself doing these dance moves in the mirror and I'm like, fuck, there's so often then I film myself and I look like an idiot.
Dude, I can relate to you there because my son has gone Michael Jackson crazy. Like he's 5 years of age. He spent all his pocket money on a Michael Jackson costume. We are watching YouTube videos on how to moonwalk and how to do I don't know what they're called, the little side moves and whatnot. And these people that do this stuff make it look easy, but it ain't easy. The stuff you do looks easy, and I know it ain't.
Yeah,
hey, bro,
yeah.
I really appreciate your time, and I don't want to hold you up too long today. So I guess.
Well, good, bro.
I guess I'll just ask you one last question on leaving. If you had a suggestion, I guess a tool that's in your toolbox that you could suggest for men that have challenges or adversity in their life, what would that be? And what do you suggest to sort of implement in one's life to get through those situations?
Oh man, you can go super deep with that one, I suppose, and you could talk for a long time. And yeah, what tools, what facilities can help you deal with shit? I think there's one main thing that, just one main thing, one main point, and just keep it succinct, George. Realize that time is gonna happen regardless of how you choose to feel. So because that time's going to pass anyway, you might as well choose to feel good, man, to feel positive, to feel like, to feel grateful, man. You need to kind of like, I like to wake up in the morning, and then you might see my posts on my stories, and it's just like, wake and appreciate, man. Like, simple as that. If you've got the capacity to get up out your bed and stand on your feet and walk with your legs, and mate, imagine being able to open a fridge to get, fucking food out of it even, or boil the kettle to like make a cup of tea or whatever. So every little kind of thing I do in my morning ritual starts with, and it's not like it's overt, it's not like I'm preaching on the stories, everybody needs to be grateful, but it's just a mindset that sets you up nicely and enables you to deal with with anything. So any challenge, you need to be like, fuck yeah, thank you very much for this challenge. For after overcoming it, I shall be stronger, wiser, and much better for it. So I appreciate it, rather than like, here's another free pass, here's another skip to the next round, here's another means of assistance to, achieve whatever it is. If you can kind of like, man, like see those challenges as opportunities to grow, then that's where you can start to develop your own tools and sharpen your own knives to deal with different, more subtle situations and stuff. But that would be my one massive point, bro. Just realize that it's gonna pass, man.
I love that, brother. I'm a big man when it comes to gratitude. And, I think that's why, once again, I love your stuff. It's always positive. And the big thing that I got there, bro, from you is it's a choice.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, bro, thanks for joining us today. I really, really appreciate your time. It looks like it's a cracker day there in where are you now? You're not in London, eh?
Yeah, London, man. We're out in Essex now, isn't it? Like Liberties out in Essex, isn't it? Yeah, so it's lovely, mate. It's like pucker. It's proper nice day, mate.
So I'm going to put some links to, like, are you open for people to come start following you, brother?
Oh, yeah, look, if anyone wants to jump on, I mean, yeah, it's nothing crazy, man. Like, I just post fitness stuff and, like some gym stuff and some sneakers, just shit that I'm into. And then I've got some tour guide videos way back in the day, just cruising around. So, yeah, absolutely, man, by all means. And I'm more than happy to follow anyone back as well. And
there we go. I'm gonna drop your IG details at the end of this, because you didn't do yourself any credit at all, brother. You lead the way, and you lead the way through Jordan Young. That's a brand in itself, Jordan Young. Just follow this man, guys, because he's fun, he's original, and he is Jordan Young.
I'm just part of the fam, man. Just part of the team. Just on board with the mantra, with the ideas, man. So yeah, bro, big up yourself, bro. Like, thanks for the call. Thanks for getting in touch, and yeah, love what you're doing. Love the vibes, and yeah, long may it continue, man.
Thanks, brother. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right, Kazi.